What's up, everybody? Today is Monday, December 15th, 2025. It's Luther again. For those that don't know, I'm a real estate practitioner here in the Kansas City market, representing for Upside Property Services. And my specialty is investment properties, creative financing, and asset management. And so, throughout my career over the last 10 to 15 plus years, I have been dialing in and trying different aspects of the business, most of which is tailored around investing in real estate, placing capital, and operating the real estate investing business. All right, so tap in. This is going to be part 3 of a mini series. I'm not sure if it'll be the final part, but it might be, regarding me walking away from 2 companies and 6 performing single family home investments. All right, so my last 2 videos, I talked about some of the inner workings, what led to me stepping away, and some things that I would do different going forward. Okay, so today I want to talk a little bit more about the mindset, some of the thought processes that I went through or thought process that I did go through, and then some of the emotions around not just me walking away from what seemed like a good thing, but also some of the thought processes and emotions and some of the patterns that I've seen throughout the years when it comes to investing in real estate. Okay, so we're here in the Kansas City market. Again, like I've been at it for a while, over a decade, and I grew up in the business. Okay, so both of my parents have done real estate for over 30 years. And so since I was a little kid, I knew it was something that I was probably going to end up doing somehow, some way. And I've spent a lot of time, not just talking with my parents about real estate, but talking with countless individuals about real estate. And so it's given me a really interesting perspective on the whole thing. And so that's part of what I want to do, is to share, educate, inspire, encourage y'all out there, but also caution y'all, because investing has risks. Owning property has risks. You are gonna need capital, and sometimes it's comes, things come your way when you least expect it and you're not prepared. And so, part of what I want to do is to help some of y'all so you can better prepare and be able to better maneuver through the process. Okay, so why in the world would I walk away from 2 companies and 6 performing single family home investments, right? When you think about it, it sounds kind of crazy, but check out the past video. I'll kind of recap some of the stuff and then get into what I'm going to get into. But yeah, it really came down to me not really feeling so much appreciated. There was definitely some resentment there. I didn't feel like I was being compensated fairly for what I'd put into the operation. And then also the capital aspect. We were using short-term, interest-only loans. Okay, so we were using essentially hard money on top of good debt. Okay, so when you think of good debt, or at least when I think of good debt, it's 30-year fixed rate mortgages. Well, we got a little carried away. Okay, over a 4-year span, we were buying, rehabbing, refinancing, reselling, wholesaling. We did 1 fix and flip as well. And so we had quite a bit going on. And I remember reaching certain milestones along the way. Okay, sourcing additional capital. Those were some big milestones. Okay, doing 5 or 6 transactions and getting to the point where we had all of our initial investment capital back out, which is, to me, absurd. That's a lot of luck. That's pretty much a miracle how that happened. But as we continued investing, I started to see some shifts in the economy, some shifts in the market, and so forth. And I felt compelled to continue moving forward, thinking that we would be able to resolve whatever financial issues we had, which, we ran out of time because, as I mentioned before, there was the performing assets, right? Each of those properties have 30-year fixed rate mortgages on them. And when we sourced additional capital outside of that from private individuals, it was interest only, okay, short-term debt, all right, that had a balloon coming due in 6 to 12 months. And then we had to extend that out even further, okay? And that's where things got messy. That's where things got murky. And then I started to realize like, hey, we can't continue moving forward in this manner. And for me, I'm fascinated, of course, by real estate investing, but I'm also really fascinated by human beings and human nature. And to me, it's been interesting. I mentioned earlier patterns that I've seen throughout my career in the real estate space. And it's not just real estate, it's human nature. Humans, we have this knack or this tendency to do something, right? It may not feel very good, it may not work that well, but the tendency is to do that over and over again. And I can't explain it, I don't know what it is, but I've fought it really, really hard. And that's part of the reason I stepped back, because I'm like, all right, we're seeing how the real estate flows. We're seeing how the money flows, right? I mentioned before on a previous video with my business partner, we did 12 deals in a 3.5-year span, okay? 7 of those we kept, okay? Of those 7, we ended up selling 1 of those, paid back some of the short-term debt, okay? And then the remaining 6 are performing to this day. But of those remaining 6, we had an additional $80,000+ that we needed to settle. Again, that was second lien position debt, okay? We needed to settle it, and I fought it for almost 2 years, for a 2-year span, because we didn't buy anything. But, since 2023, we didn't buy anything, all right? And we haven't. And these last couple of years, part of why I haven't bought anything is because the market shift, conditions changed, and we needed to settle that short-term debt. So over the last couple of years, I was trying to figure out how I could, bring in more income, how I might be able to restructure, resell, or reposition things in the portfolio. And it got to the point where my partner actually wanted me to buy him out and take care of the debt about not quite a year ago. So I was trying to sort through that. Then I decided, okay, that may not necessarily be fair. Well, how about you guys buy me out, okay? Because there was some things that I was not privy to, that I was not aware of when it came to some of the money that was being sourced, okay? So I can't get into it too much because, I have a business partner who stepped in and salvaged things, and it was his role to supply some of that capital. So to this day, I still don't know how that went down. So that's another reason, right? I was not feeling good about how things were going, okay, as far as the short-term debt, okay? And then with all the shifts and the changes, I saw that there was some writing on the wall, and I was trying to, see where the puck, or go to where the puck was going, not to where the puck is, to use a hockey quote. And that was where I decided, we gotta pump the brakes, man. We gotta, before I move forward with any more deals, with any more clients, with any more partners, I've got to get this settled. And so that's what I did. And it, still kind of annoying, still kind of frustrating, because, those are 6 properties that are performing and cash flowing a good $300 a month net. And I had to walk away from it. Okay. And so I hope that makes sense. I'm going to keep it somewhat shorter today, just kind of put a bow on this mini series, if you will, me stepping away from $1.2 million worth of performing real estate assets. And I want to encourage y'all, but at the same time, I want to caution y'all. I talk about three big things on this channel and on social media, and it's the capital, the strategy, and the operations. Okay, so how I felt doing these deals and how I still feel is our strategy is on point. Okay, as far as operations go, with my background as a property manager, working closely with contractors and having a pretty good general understanding of how to run a real estate business, a real estate investing business, that is, operations are on point. It's the capital piece where I struggled the most and where I felt like I was lacking. And so I encourage you all, based on how you plan on investing, what you're bringing to the table, you gotta sort out those three pillars and get to it. All right, so, appreciate you watching. If you made it this far, go ahead and like the video if you like the message, or subscribe if you wanna stay, tuned in for future videos, because I plan to continue talking more about investing and opportunities in the market. And I don't want to say too much because I'm working on some pretty amazing stuff, and I'll keep you posted on that as things progress. All right, thanks again for tuning in. Peace, y'all.